The Finance Bill 2024-2025 is already out. This means that new taxes or additional taxes will be coming our way. With that in mind, have you purchased the motor vehicle that you really wanted? Join me on this episode of Cars and Laws as we take you through the simplified processes of purchasing your motor vehicle. I'll be your host, Wakili Cedric Magotsi. Karibuni sana. The normal again in quotes, stroke the cash, stroke the check method of car purchase in Kenya has a few phases in it. I'll be taking you through these phases that are followed while purchasing a said motor vehicle. The first phase is the posting of these motor vehicles. Sometimes a vehicle can be uploaded and posted in a site such as on conversations at conversations.africa. Unaenda kwa hiyo website, unapata gari imepostiwa, unaona inauzwa pesa ngapi, kuna namba ya agent or the number of the owner. Or in the alternatives, you've seen these posters at the back of motor vehicles na namba imeandikwa please purchase me. So mtu akitaka kuuza gari anatafuta site ama website kama ya conversations ama anapost sticker at the back of his car ama her car, anasema anauza hii gari. Alternatively, kuna wale ambao watatumia word of mouth. Ataambia jirani, ataambia friend, ataambia mpoa wake amwambie niaje nataka kuuza hii gari. From there then the word will spread. That will be the advertisement phase in the sale on these particular motor vehicles. So phase 1, gari imeadvertisiwa. Namba imewekwa ya agent ama namba imewekwa ya muuzaji. Kutoka hapo, wewe kama mnunuzi wa hiyo gari, what do? You move to the second phase of the purchase of this motor vehicle. Phase number 2 ni kucontact muuzaji wa ile car, reaching out to the vendor of the said motor vehicles. How do you do that? Unapiga ile namba ama saa zingine unaenda kwa ile yard. Umeona gari imewekwa kwa yard, the car imekufurahisha, you go to that yard, you contact the guys who work at the yard, either or you contact an authorized motor vehicle agent, ama unaweza pigia watu kama conversations, unawaambia nimeona gari, hii gari nataka iko kwa website yenu. How do I go about it? Ama how do I contact ama connect the seller of this specific vehicle? Lakini before we end up on phase number 2, lazima tuwape onyo. While purchasing this vehicle, wale watu ambao unaongea nao, huwezi jua. Nowadays, people have funny characters. They could be thieves, they could be thugs, they could be carjackers, they could be kidnappers, posing as motor vehicle vendors. Make sure ukikutana na wale agents ama yule muuzaji, unamwambia I want to meet you in a safe and secure place. Hii safe and secure place inaweza kuwa wapi? Either kwa police station, mahali kwa restaurant. There are these restaurants that have amazing parking lots. Ama 3, unaweza kutana nao kwa shopping mall. Muambie tukutane hapa, I see the car, then you start negotiating from there. So make sure your safety is paramount. You meet these people in a safe and secure place. Na pia wewe ambaye unauza gari, huwezi jua huyu mnunuzi ama this prospective purchaser kama ni mtu genuine. Probably anataka kuona gari, then they rob the car off you. So again, for both parties, either the vendor ama the purchaser, make sure you meet in a safe place. Unaweza leta gari watu waione, kumbe hawa watu ni mikora. Then you get robbed of your valuable asset, which is your motor vehicle. Sawa, never forget that. Phase 3, kabla ununue hii gari, what do? There are those we call pre-purchase priorities ama pre-purchase processes that ought to be followed. You've seen this car, you've contacted the owner, umeongea kwa simu, you are well aware, negotiate price. The first thing you're supposed to do kama mnunuzi wa ile gari, ingia pale NTSA, search for the details of this car. Either ni KAR 888, eka hiyo contract, eka hiyo registration details kwa NTSA. Pay. The payment right now is 550 shillings. Pay the 550 shillings. Get a proper stroke official motor vehicle search. Download hii motor vehicle search. Hii motor vehicle search itakuwa na nini? Itakuwa na jina ya mwenye gari na itakuwa na pin ya mwenye gari, either as a person, an individual, or as a company, or as a business, or as a limited liability partnerships. Hizi zote utaona hapo. So utaangalia, kwa hiyo car search ukisha download itakupea hizo details zote. Mwenye gari ni nani, pin yake ni nani. 2, hiyo car search itakuwa na details za hizo gari. Either itakuwa na manufacturing date, itakuwa na rangi ya hiyo gari, itakuwa na displacement ama cc ya hiyo gari, itakuwa na number of doors, either 3 doors ama 5 doors, itakuwa na description ya hiyo gari, either ni saloon ama ni 4x4, na itakuwa na model ya hiyo gari, either ni Honda Fit ama ni Mazda Axela. So all those descriptions of that specific car itakuwa kwa hiyo car search. So that is very important. Ndio ukidili na mwenye anauza hiyo gari, lazima ukuwe unajua. Usiende pale anakuambia gari ni ya mtu fulani ama gari ni yangu and you've not conducted your own NTSA car search. That is very important. Especially ikikuja kotini. Unajua umeibiwa pesa. Unasema huyu ndio aliniambia yeye ni mwenye gari na nikampea pesa. And the court will ask you one question. Have you conducted a search of the said motor vehicle? Very important, very key. Enda NTSA, conduct your search ya motor vehicle, ni 550 shillings. Download your search na uiweke. Na kama unaona itapotea, share that app. Unajitumia kwa email yako, inakaa pale kama sent item. You have the search, keep it safe. Keep it as part of your records. That is one process conducted under the pre-purchase inspection. The second process is the pre-purchase inspection itself. What do you mean by the pre-purchase inspection itself? This can be done in 2 ways. Either you do it the jua kali, again, the jua kali in quotes, you do it in the jua kali way, ama una do it in the professional way. The jua kali way ni gani? Hii ni ule unatafuta mechanic, either mechanic wako ama mechanic wa mtu mwingine. Unakuja na yeye, anaangalia ile gari pale kwa yard ama pale kwa ofisi za conversations, anaangalia gari, anaona kama iko na leakage, anaipiga kifungua, anaona vile inaaka kiguruma, anawasha lights, anasikia mguruma, anatafuta mlima pale bypass, anaenda anaipandisha, anasikia kama iko na power, then anakuambia this guy is fine, purchase it. That is the local stock, the local way of doing a pre-purchase inspection. Or 2, you can get a qualified company or agent who will conduct the pre-purchase inspection for you. How do you do that? Let's take a qualified pre-purchase agent like Conversations. You contact Conversations, you book an appointment, you are slated for a specific day in which this specific pre-purchase inspections will be done. You pay the fees for pre-purchase inspection, and again, hii fees ukilipa unapewa receipt. Very important. Ndio kukiwa na court case uko mbele na watu wamesema ni qualified inspectionist, you can say I paid for a pre-purchase inspection, this is my receipt, and these guys conducted this specific inspection. Again, very important, usikose receipt. In all these processes, mahali ambapo unaweza pata receipt, make sure you keep your documents safe. Sawa, tunaendelea. Ushapata appointment pale Conversations, wamesema they'll conduct these specific pre-purchase inspections for you. What do they do next? They call one of their engineers who is officially trained as an engineer. Again, huyu engineer akiwa kwa ground na unashuku this person is not an engineer, you can request for their credentials. Aligraduate wapi, alisoma wapi, kama kona hiyo degree certificate or a copy of it, akupe. The engineer will come to where the vehicle is with his checklist, aanze ku conduct an inspection, a pre-purchase inspection of this car. With this checklist, pia wewe atakuguide, akuambia tunaangalia brake fluid, tunaangalia suspension and the entire suspension system, tunaangalia the steering rack, tunaangalia the lights, Tunaangalia roof, saa zingine roof unapatanga imeshikiliwa tu, ukitoka nayo inasaga ama ina hang. Tunaangalia kama catalytic converter iko ama imeibiwa. Tunaangalia bushes, hizo zote. So hiyo list itakuwa na this engineer. Atakuguide through, akuambia hii tumecheck iko sawa, hii tujacheck iko sawa, na zile ambazo hajacheck pia atakuambia we cannot check this and this and this aspect, because checking this itabaanisha tumefungua the entire engine ama part of the engine ndio tuifikie, na muuzaji wa gari haizi taka gari yake ifunguliwe unless you are buying that car. So this engineer will pre-qualify and ama pre-check everything, atik zile ambazo zimetengenezwa, then mkimalizana na engineer, the engineer will go back to the office, prepare a proper pre-purchase inspection report. Hii report ita capture every detail, na kwa hiyo pre-purchase report at the end engineer atakuambia from his opinion, cause yeye ni qualified engineer, atakuambia from his opinion whether you are going to purchase this vehicle or this vehicle you should avoid at all costs. Atakutumia hiyo report with the pros and the cons of that specific car. But at the end of the day, nimesema atakuandikia opinion. The opinion is not binding. Hiyo opinion atakwambia, mimi nimeangalia hii gari, nimeiona si fiti, so don't purchase it. Very important, but again, with that opinion pia kutakuwa na caveat. Atasema, don't purchase this car, but if you want to purchase this car, do 1, 2, 3 things to this car, na hiyo gari itakuwa back to its best condition. Utatumia hiyo pre-purchase report, then uta decide whether you're going to purchase this car or whether you're not going to purchase this car. Umeridhika, gari imekufurahisha, what do you do next? Any exchange of money has to be contracted. The contract law, the law of contracts, ama the law of contract act clearly states pesa yoyote above 2,000 has to be receipted. Tafuta wakili, let this lawyer do a sale agreement for this specific vehicle. Sale agreement itakuwa na nini? The date in which the sale agreement was executed, 2 parties to this sale agreement. Na mkienda pale kwa wakili, make sure the buyer and the seller have copies of the identification documents. Copies of the identification documents ni gani? KRA pin, very very important. Secondly, copy of the IDs. Thirdly, wewe mnunuzi lazima ukuwe umefanya car search. Hii car search lazima iambatane na logbook ya muuzaji wa ile gari. So those are the identification documents. You must come with them. Na katika lawyer will prepare 3 contracts. One for the seller, one for the purchaser, and one for the records of the lawyer himself ama herself. So ukitoa copy ya ID, unatoa copies 3 za ID. Ya contract ya muuzaji, ya contract ya mnunuzi, na ya contract ya wakili. So that whenever a legal dispute arises, unaweza kuja kwa wakili umwambie ni aje, ile contract iliandikiwa imepotea. Can we have a copy of your contract to solve illegal disputes? Very important, identification documents. Hiyo contract ita capture identification documents and details za both parties. Tail number, KRA pin, ID number, and most importantly, postal address of all parties, the purchaser and the vendor. Kutoka hapo, another detail that should be captured in that sale agreement ni banking details. Pesa italipwa wapi? Usikuje tu pale uandikiwe ni contract na kusikue na mahali pesa ilipo. Ama pesa italipwa namna gani? Is it being deposited in the vendor's account? Ama inapeanwa cash? But for me, I'll advise, make sure pesa yote inalipwa either kwa M-Pesa ama kwa bank account. So that whenever a dispute arises, you have the money trail. If I'm doing the contract, I'll insist hii pesa ilipwe kwa bank. Kwa bank is way safer. Any grown up, I believe any adult who was an ID should be having a bank account. So bank account details ziandikwe, pesa ikuwe transferred to the muuzaji wa gari, then from there mta agree, and easy agreements zote lazima zikuwe captured. How is this money going to be paid? Is there a deposit? Is the money being paid wholesomely, the entire full amount? You'll agree on that. Again, these contracts will have other additional clauses, the duration for the payment, and most importantly, this has to be captured in this contract. The exact condition in which the vehicle is in. In legal terms, we say the vehicle is purchased on an is-as basis. Gari inanunuliwa vile iko. So, kama umefanya ile pre-purchase inspection, wewe umekuwa satisfied with the condition of this car, this vehicle will be bought on as is term ama condition. Yani gari inanunuliwa vile iko. This is an important aspect ama an important warranty ama condition that should be captured in that specific contract. Then this contract, make sure wewe ni muuzaji ama mnunuzi, make sure umeenda katika hiyo process ya kusign contract na witness wako. Of course, the lawyer or the advocate will execute the contract pale chini na stamp yake. But pia wewe kama mnunuzi ama muuzaji, lazima make sure kuna, kama unaweza, make sure you have your witness. Pia sign mahali pale chini, utasign wewe mnunuzi, the purchaser, who's your witness, either your spouse or your friend, assign hapo. The vendor ama muuzaji atakuja na yeye aseme mimi ndio muuzaji wa hii gari, atasign hapo chini, atakuwa na witnesses wake, sign hapo chini. Hiyo kimalizika, gari itapeanwa. Depending on what has been captured in the agreement, gari inaweza peanwa. Mwenye gari anaweza sema, sasa wewe chukuanga gari uitumie, ukinilipanga pole pole. Hiyo inaitwa transfer of possession. Physical possession of the car will be transferred from the vendor to the purchaser. Lakini kama mnamalizana hapo, payment inalipwa lump sumly. Tunalipa hii kitu yote mara moja. Both physical and ownership of the car should be transferred from the vendor to the purchaser. Physical ownership ni nini? Ile kuchukua gari kuenda nayo ni physical ownership. But actual possession ni ile umiliki haki ama umiliki kamilifu wa gari. Ule ambaye kuna logbook ama jina yake imeandikwa kwa logbook, yeye ndio kuna actual ownership of the vehicle. So mkiagree, kama pesa imelipwa yote, mnunuzi anapewa gari, then ownership inakuwa transferred from the vendor to the purchaser. How does ownership get transferred? Nyinyi wote ambao mnanunua gari lazima mkuwe na accounts za NTSA, because hapo ndio ownership inabadilishwa. Yule muuzaji ataenda kwa account yake ya NTSA, atransfer hii gari kwa account ya ule ambaye ananunua. That is the transfer of ownership. Na kitransfer hiyo lazima ilipiwe depending on the CC ama the displacement of this car. Charges will range between 2,500 going on forward. Ule mnunuzi, practice has always indicated that the person purchasing the vehicle, yeye ndio inafaa alipie the 2,500 ya kutransferiwa gari. Then ule ambaye ananunua gari has to log in again into his or her NTSA account, receive the transfer from the vendor into his or into her account. But atakingia tu aone mahali ya transfer vehicle, acknowledge that this vehicle has been transferred from the vendor to the purchaser. That will be the transfer of ownership. Akisha acknowledge hiyo, atakuwa prompt na M-Pesa. Alipe pesa ngapi? 2,500 or more depending on the displacement of the car. Akisha lipia hiyo 2,500 officially, gari itakuwa transferred from the vendor to the purchaser. After that, of course, logbook bado itakuwa kwa jina ya ule anauza gari. Utapewa logbook, ubaki na the original, not the copy of the logbook, the original logbook. Jueni mnunuzi na umelipa kila kitu. You'll have a copy of that logbook. Then NTSA, over a period of time after the transfers happened, will notify you that your new logbook is now ready. What you need to do then is take the old logbook. Wewe ambaye umenunua gari, take the old logbook, ipeleke NTSA ama kwa the nearest. Kwale NTSA portal utauliza which is the nearest NTSA office close to you. uende kwa ofisi za NTSA with the old logbook, upeane, then utapewa your new logbook. That will be the safest way of transferring the car through the first process of the check or the cash transfer. Hapo sawa? I've been your host, Wakili Cedric Magotsi.